Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to this panel. I am Elena Pasoli. I am the exhibition manager of the Bologna Children's Book Fair. I'm here just to introduce very briefly this meeting and explain why we have decided to organize this panel. So we usually take the opportunity of the Frankfurt Book Fair to introduce, to announce the big news, the big events that will be held in the framework of the next year Bologna Book Fair. This year, unfortunately, we're not going to meeting with our friends and with the publishing community in Frankfurt. Still, we are in the digital program and we are happy to be there. So we have decided to organize 3 panels which take place, let me say, take the place of the traditional brochure we present in Frankfurt. And these panels are dedicated to the 3 main topics we will explore next April. One is the non-fiction, the other one is comics, and the other one is poetry. Poetry will be the special category of the Bologna Ragazzi Award. Comics will be the big news, because we should have had a brand new comics corner at the Bologna this year, the Bologna Book Fair this year. We didn't have the fair, so the first time of the comics corner will be next year, and the non-fiction will be on the stage thanks to a big project of the University of Bologna, a project we have decided to strongly support, and it's a project totally focused on non-fiction children's books. The project is curated by Professor Giorgia Grilli, professor in children's literature at the University of Bologna. And we have here with us Ilaria Dindelli, who is a researcher at the university and has been collaborating with Professor Grilli to put together this huge exhibition that will be presented at the public library Sala Borsa, and will be also, and we will also focused on a special book, including many different essays by the most important children's experts across the world. So I'd like to introduce Ilaria Dindelli, University of Bologna, Ukrainian illustrators Romana Romanishin and Andriy Leziv, winner of many prestigious awards. Among these awards, of course, the Bologna Ragazzi Award. And then Andrea Letria, illustrator and publisher, Patologico. We all knew your wonderful books, Andrea. And then let me introduce the coordinator, the moderator of this panel, Grazia Gotti. Grazia Gotti is a scholar, is expert in children's books. She has founded, together with her colleagues, the Libreria Giannino Stoppani International Bookstore, which I'm sure all of you have seen, have known in Bologna. It's one of the most beautiful international bookstores for children in Europe, and maybe on the even overseas stage, on the overseas stage. And Grazia is author as well. She's now at the bookstores with her book, her children's book, on Federico Fellini, the great movie director whose centenary is being celebrated this year. And she is also very precious for us for the Bologna Ragazzi Award, because she and her team, her colleagues, have been involved in the preparations of the Bologna Ragazzi Award for some 15 years. It's a precious work because it's a scouting work. It's not a secretary office. It is a scouting work among the books published across the world, because you know, Andre, you are a publisher, so maybe you know your chicken and maybe yourself. Sometimes publishers are a bit lazy in sending good books, and so Grazia and her colleagues cheese them and push them to send, and we need this work, because this is the best way to keep high the quality level of the Bologna Ragazzi Award. I don't want to steal any time to this panel, so I give the floor to Grazia. Thank you very much for participating, and enjoy the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you so much for this occasion. And it's quite strange to me to be a moderator, because never in my life, I think I must just learn to moderate myself. And so it's very difficult to me to moderate. And just few words. I'm very happy for this topic, because non-fiction, in my opinion, is a new territory where for the present, but for the future, a lot of people coming from all over the world. That means big or small publisher, and we know now today in this panel how it's important, because the most important things is creativity and having something to tell to the children about everything that concerns our planet, our life, our feelings, everything. And so I'm very, very happy, because as a former bookseller, I remember quite well how poor has been for a long time the shelves dedicated to non-fiction or books in old style. I see that there is a new, let me say, generation of author, not so new publisher, some small and very new publishers, but very very lazy, in my opinion, the big companies. The new things comes from little things. So very, very happy. I just want to invite Ilaria to explain, just because she has had the opportunity to see recently in the last 2 years a lot of these new books, and she has compared research, turned page with content, and so I think she can tell us what comes from this amount of books dedicated to non-fiction, coming from all over the world just for attending the Bologna Ragazzi Award. Thank you, Ilaria.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. Today I first started to work on non-fiction picture books together with Professor Giorgia Grilli for this huge university project. And we soon realized that these books were meant to be shown, and so we started to organize the exhibition. And we asked the editors to send us books to study and also to select them. And we collected more than 500 titles from around the world. Of course, the exhibition was postponed because of the pandemic emergency, but we definitely are excited to be shown it in the next edition of the Bologna Children's Book Fair. I must say that the most intriguing things is that there is a clash between the picture book format and the picture book language also, and the non-fiction aims. And when these two things collide or match, we have, as you said, a new type of non-fiction book, which is a picture book first. And so when the knowledge is organized with both visual and text, we have an original way of telling things about the world. These books are about every possible topic, and they tell a personal, they give a personal insight on this topic that comes from the author and from the illustrator together, with a stress on the visual level, because I think the first thing that comes to the eyes is the visual and the pictorial aspect. And so we try to think and to select books and to organize them in categories that are different from the Dewey classification, in order to show how they can work when they are put together in original categories. And so yes, we have a new way of reading them, and we can offer the children a new way of engage the reading of these books. Sometimes when a book starts from talking about, I don't know, animals or the animal kingdom, then the way the knowledge is organized in the book, sometimes you realize by reading that it tells also something about a different topic, or you can stress the aesthetic part, or also topics that are not the main one, but that you can highlight with the children, and so create different paths of study or of lessons. And I think they constitute a real resource for the teachers when you consider them as a whole, and you start to create a path of knowledge starting from them.
Ilaria?
Yes.
Did you finish?
Yes, I try to highlight what it's important for me from starting from the way we worked.
Yeah, okay. I thought you could quote some books, but I think we will have time to go properly talking about some books. And obviously we will see next year during the book fair this huge exhibition. And so yes, we could clarify to ourselves even your way to select and to put together and to compare and to make new categories, because I feel that you have investigated more picture book instead of general yes, fictional book. So now I would like to ask to Romana and Andri the way they start to think and to produce a non-fiction book. Thank you.
We work mostly with 3 ingredients creating the non-fictional book. It's science, all the scientific facts, the philosophy, and art. And this fusion of these 3 ingredients is our main idea, because we think that the best way to perceive the world is like looking through these 3 glasses of art, science, and philosophy. And we think that to develop this fusion of these three ingredients is the best way to understand the world we are living in. I think that only to show only the scientific facts is already it's old school. Yes, so I think that the future view on the nonfiction is trying to find some new ways of understanding. Also, for example, we try to use infographics because for us it's the best way for making
visualize
information because now we are all live in a very visual world, and children are prepared to see some new visual experiments, and we mostly work with infographics.
We believe that book speaks with reader, with children, in two main voices. One voice, it's a verbal voice, it's text, it's letters, it's words, and second voice, it's visual voice, it's illustrations, it's infographic, it's images, and for us these two voices are absolutely equal. There is no main, for example, main text and second images, or vice versa. For us, it's two equal voices, two equal part of the book. So in a non-fiction book, we also try to use both of these parts, visual and verbal, equally, and both of these voices, they like compelling each other, like extending each other. So it's a duo. It's a duo of voices, visual and verbal.
Also, we try to take topics which are on the surface, which are really simple, but we try to make some new view on these topics. Like, for example, our newest book is about movement and about travel, about how the things move in the world. In this constant movement, which we all miss in these pandemic times. So we also made this fusion of philosophy and of all the scientific facts. We also look to the art researchers, for example, how we can show the movement in illustration and in design. And for most of our books, we always use the researchers of artists, avant-garde artists, who mostly made incredible researches and experiments and discoveries how to show, for example, movement, or to show a sound in very simple way, graphically. So we make this fusion of different disciplines, of different researches, and in this way we try to make our own narrative, visual narrative, to show our idea, to transmit our idea about the topic.
Thank you. I think that you said philosophy together with science and a new narrative and visually. And these ingredients remind me the Neurath thinking. Yes, yeah. And I'm actually recently I've written a book that is called The Library of Knowledge, and I've done the history of the making the book. So this is Maria Neurath.
Yes, we love her books very much.
Yeah. You see, okay. Then I went on saying, this is the nowadays infographic.
Yes.
Okay. And I think that so many books now use infographic like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, the works of Neurath, Maria and Otto are very important.
When we started
Otto,
to books, we just learning this.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that a lot of young people now has discovered them, because
Yes.
actually the first time I met in Paris a young graphic designer said, "Do you know Neurath?" And I said, "Yes." So they are discovering. Then I went on with other. Anyway, from the 60, the 70, the 80 till now, and now I've made a map, a new map: Ukraine, Poland, Portugal, because to me this small country have the new things to tell, and that's why your books has been accepted in translated in approximately 30 countries. And so different from east and west, but everywhere we understand your creativity, your new way to tell simple things, but in a different way. That is not like in the past, that science is only a range and not connecting with other, no? For example, to make a list in science, the family of the animal, or the leaf, the family of the, no, we don't want to understand the world in this way with classification. It comes from the past. Now we want to understand a process, a cause, a thinking, and so on. So I'm very, very happy, and I remember quite well the first time I saw your books coming from the Bologna Ragazzi Award to my office before attending the jury, and said, "Wow, what a wonderful book. Oh, wow, what a wonderful book." And the result of the jury was obviously, because the jurors are professional, are people with a strong feeling for new and good books. And so you are very welcome, because we have won a lot and selling. At the same time, you find, in my opinion, when you talk about war, for example, is something more than only telling something scientifically, means something personally, means something that you want to tell something about what you don't love, you don't like, and you want to find the proper way to tell to the children something. And it's very strange, because for example, war, you have a marvelous book on war, but also Andre did a book on war. Could you explain, Andre, why you decide to depict war?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here talking about this subject and extending it to the war book. I decided to publish this book, and these decisions come from personal choices, personal feelings. So the choice of doing the book about war has to do with my own concerns as a citizen about the world and the things that are happening around us, especially in Europe, but also in other countries, as we can see also in the United States. So it's the decision of doing this book comes from this feeling of danger that is, I think, hanging over our heads. And so the decision to publish it was the idea came from the idea of doing something like an alarm, something like a call to attention from all readers, including small children, because even small children should be aware of things that adults do when they ruin the world that they will live in the next years. And so even if we think as of a subject as hard as war, I think there should be no barriers in talking to children about this. There is someone that told a phrase about war and about war showed to children. I don't remember who she was. I know she was a woman, but she told that if children are old enough to be bombed, then they are old enough to know what war means and the dangers that they can face if war comes to their country. And so this was it was an easy decision, but very hard to put in practice, because we felt, me and my father, who is the author of the text, we felt that we had to do it. We had long discussions about how to do it, because we were facing, before we decided the way that we should do the book, we were facing these dilemmas about how to show such a hard subject. But then we decided to do it as hard as we could, because if the book was soft and if the book was too bright, then it wouldn't be fair for the reader, because it would look like we were disguising what is really very hard in reality.
Thanks, Andre. And I'm very curious, how many countries did buy the book?
Well, we have already 9 contracts that are signed to sell the book, to translate the book. Not all of these countries already published it, already printed it, but so we have already 9 that will be translated. But we also had, this is a good news, because, well, the book already has 2 years. We were somehow expecting that it could be more. But we also know that the book is difficult, because some publishers still feel some worries about having this kind of book in their catalogs, especially if they are publishing children's books, publishing houses. And we had some curious answers. A lot of people showed interest in the book. They asked us for the PDF to analyze the book and to understand if they wanted. But some of them gave us curious answers. One, for example, I remember one publishing house told us that they loved the book. The book was great, but it was too dark, and they thought the world was already too dark, and this was not what they thought their readers would want to read right now. And we were surprised with this answer, because that was exactly the opposite of the objective that we had. And we think that the book was made exactly to shock people, but we understand that there are different markets, and that people don't react the same way. They don't have the same directions that they apply to their catalogs, and so we understand every kind of answer that we got. But we are very happy, and we know that the book, I'm sure that the book will still keep being translated, and I hope it will reach to those countries that are more in need of this, because the danger of totalitarianism, authoritarianism that is rising in the countries that we all know what they are.
Excellent. The point on black in the books, black books. Okay. Also, Romana and Andri, the book on the war is quite black. Could you explain the meaning of, the process of, because we don't have the book to display here. Could you please tell us your story and for this book?
Yes, this book was created after the war started in our country, and we understood that there is a lack of books for children about war, because nobody was prepared for this, and for the first months of the war, all families were protecting their children from the information about war, because nobody could predict how long will it last, how many victims there will be. and we tried to make this book like the starting point for the discussion, for a good talk of parents with their children. And we decided to create this book like there is a contrast between light and darkness. I think it's very ancient, very old symbols like from the Bible, this war of light and darkness. And also there was a dilemma for us how to create the main characters. We wanted to avoid make them like human looking, because for that time we had so many soldiers, we had so many warriors in the news, wounded people, so we decided to make like symbolic way, and all our main characters are like toys made of very fragile materials, like paper, balloon, glass, something that you can easily destroy, easily hurt, because on that period of time we all felt very fragile and very sensitive. So we also were very surprised, because this book was very, very good perceived with children, and for us it was a very hard task, but I think this project is very, very it was very quickly. We made it, I think, in 1 month. It was like the energy that we had, this negative energy of war. We tried to make it like fuel for work, and it's like instinct. I don't know. It's only instinct that guide us. So for us, it's a very important book.
Actually, creation of this book, it was our very sincere and very emotional reaction for events that started in our country, that after the war was started. We just saw the news that, for example, children who lives in an area of military actions, they, for example, should sleep in bathroom for avoiding shelter, like in the shelter, for avoiding bombings, and how you could not talk with people, with children, why they should sleep in the bath, for example. So we just feel that we must to do something what we can do. As we are artists and book illustrators, we decided to create a book which could be a starting point for sincere conversations between parents and their children. Sincere conversation about war, sincere conversation about why, for example, your father or your mother should go to the army and should serve the military and could possibly be wounded or even died. So this book, it's we realize that for example, if we would make this from longer perspective of years, for example, after war was ended, this book would be absolutely different. But we created this during the war, and it's something special for us. It's a sincere reaction, sincere emotional reaction.
Yes, and we also talked about that if we would make this book now, after already 6 years of war, we would make it, I think, in some other way. And maybe we would transmit some other messages. But for that time, that was a very sincere emotional reaction.
Thanks. I think that to be sincere, to be genuine, to be authentic is the most way to get in touch with children, and they understand quite well, because they feel immediately when you are not sincere. Yes. Starting, we don't know, because we don't think they don't understand, or they don't know yet how to live. They know quite well when we are not sincere, and so even a book has, in my opinion, has to be sincere. And especially in non-fiction, because it's very simple to be literary, anyway. But to be sincere in non-fiction, in my opinion, means you have to know a lot, what is coming around, what is not sincere, for example, for environment, plus everything, economic, especially in economic. And I think that just because children make a lot of answer, they answer a lot because they want to know, they must have honest answers. And to be honest in answering them is a very difficult aim. But let me say that so many publishers are not more able to do book in this way. They will see you, and then they will follow you, because we see a lot of similar books that is not, because one is original. Your book on war and Andre's book on war are original thinking, personal thinking. You said in 1 month, so you are pushed, no?
Yeah.
You are pushed to do. And
Yes.
this, as in my opinion, is difficult when you have to organize as a publisher a year of publishing that concern the market, the money. Yeah. But stay the closer you can to the original way to get in touch with children is a very important way. And I think that probably, but Ilaria will tell us that a really changement in doing non-fiction book is what Ilaria probably will found it in this book. That is, for the first time, so many picture books. That means books of 32 pages, that is a format. Instead of having a story and picture, they have a topic, a matter to tell, or a fact to describe, or so is a mix of non-fiction and fiction together. This means that even little children can start to think about something that is not only a fairy tale or a fantastic tale or something, but connecting with reality and the reality of the research, of the science of this contemporary time. And this is, in my opinion, a very new thing. Ilaria, how many picture books do you find in your collection? By numbers, how many are actually picture books of 32 pages?
I think even when they are a little bit longer, I think the idea that stands behind them is the one of picture books, because as also Romana and Andrew said, there is a conception of mixing text and images in a way that the one doesn't they are equal, they are conceived as equal. And so even the ones that are a little bit longer, as you said, there are many picture books nowadays, and also they are short, and so the elements are have to be precise and have to be balanced. And I think the fact that they are picture books, they also include aspects of life that maybe before they were recluded to traditional forms. For example, dictionaries, or there are many books about words, about collective nouns, for example, or opposites, or books about words that mean something different but they are similar, or books that, about concept, they are very different but they are told by the same word. And I think also it is a matter of disrupting the categories and the taxonomies, as you said. It is a new tradition, a new way of seeing the book for children, in a way that we tell about animals, for example, telling about tails or noses, or you put together things for their similarities and not for their differences. And this comes better, I think this is better achieved if you take the picture book format and the picture book form with its stress in visual and the brevity of the book.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I would like to have the author and the publisher as well, Andri, just no, I take 2 minutes to explain what I'm expecting from you. In the past, a non-fiction for children, the non-fiction books for children were on nature, space, animal, expedition, traveling and discovering the new world. I think that we have finished to say that this is a desert with some animals or some trees like that. This is over, in my opinion. So what could be the topic for the future? The topic for the future for non-fiction book?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's curious that you are mentioning this, because we started with this book. We started with the war book. And this crosses a lot of what you have been telling about new ways of doing books and small publishing houses leading the way and showing new directions. Because the creation of this book, in our case, had to do exactly with the business, with the kind of business that we have, because we are very small. We have a lot of difficulties to sell books, also because we do them in different ways and in ways that are not very commercial. They are difficult to sell because bookstores don't show them the way we like. Also, people sometimes are not paying attention to them because they want very quick things and immediate things, and they don't have time to try to discover new proposals. And so we decided to create this collection about the book about sea, because we needed a tool to reach new readers. And so we thought of this as also as a new business format. So we knew that we were doing books that were difficult to sell, that people didn't know because they were not seeing them. And so we needed to go directly to the public. So we created this collection of non-fiction books that started with the sea book and then continued with the theater. And because this was a tool to work directly with children and schools, because the book proposes, it's not just an encyclopedia about the sea or about any subject from the collection. It also proposes practical things to do, and it crosses a lot of different approaches, like Romana and Andri were saying in the beginning. There are scientific approaches, philosophical, artistic, everything that you can imagine as a way to talk about the sea. We had it here. And we also were suggesting kids to leave the book and do things, do practical things, try experiments, read another book, go see a movie, think about something that we were proposing them. And so this was like a tool that we were using in schools and that also parents could use at their homes. So we started like this. But I'm talking about these books in this collection because one of the next titles that we will publish, I don't know when exactly, it will be exactly about the future. And so this is also a proof that every title is possible nowadays to show to children. Also because we don't see the children's books, either in fiction or non-fiction, as if they had to have rules. They don't need rules. The rules are what we decide as persons, as artists, as publishers. So my publishing house is the way it is because it's mine. It has to do with my personal feelings, personal choices, my concerns. And so if I want to do a book about the sea, I do it. But also if I want to do a book about characters, which is one of the new ones that we have about the written communication, I also can do this. If I want to do a book about a specific painting, as this one that we have in cooperation with the National Printing Office, we can do everything. So this is what's marvelous about having a small publishing house. It's terrible commercially, it's terrible financially, but it's wonderful because we have this feeling that we can do everything. And of course, we cannot do everything physically because there's no money to do it. But if we have enough imagination, we can create new objects with materials that are less expensive, and we can also do something that we are doing here in Portugal, which is to connect with other institutions. So we are working with museums. We are working with the National Printing Office, as I told you, because we understood that these institutions have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of things to show, but they don't have the means, the intellectual means or the know-how to do it, to reach children. And I started to think about this a long time ago, because as a museum visitor, I was going to the museum shops and I was looking at the low quality that I was seeing there in wonderful museums that showed a lot of different things. But then when we went out of the museum, when we were leaving the museum, people, if they like the visit, they have this feeling usually that they want to bring something with them to continue the visit at home. But then the shop would only sell postcards or pens or mugs, but the book that would be inspiring, they were not there. And so we decided to, since we had the curiosity and the will to do all these things about all the subjects that we like personally, we decided to reach some of these institutions and try to work with them, because we had the know-how. We are children's publishing house. We are artists, and we told them, well, you have so many good things to show. Why not do it in a different way? And so in this way, we created the business model that was also a way to do things that we could not do alone as a publishing house. For example, this book, we could never publish this book with a hardcover like this, and with a jacket like this, and with all these pages, and with this thing
Wow.
for kids try to create their own characters.
Wow.
Because this is too expensive. This is too much. But there are some institutions that still have the money. Of course, they need to have the right people in front of them. In this case, we were lucky, because the National Printing House is allowing us to work not just with them, but for example, we did this book for the the National Library of Portugal. That is like it's a knowledge book about the history of this institution, that shows how children that shows how this works, the history of this institution, how it works, what kind of people work there, how they treat the books. We have like a map to show them how the books are organized, so that they can be cataloged. And there's also a part in the end where we proposed practical things for them to do regarding the subject of the book. And so this is a way that we found, so we could continue to work as a publishing house, doing things that had some scale, because otherwise we were doing probably this, but in a very small scale. And we by doing this, by having these partnerships, we can also increase our activity as artists, and we can show it in a different way. So the subject for the future, besides the book about the future that will come sometime, I don't know when, I think that the answer can be anything, which is the most enthusiastic thing that I can imagine, because the world is so vast, it's so big, and if you go to the past, as you said, the subjects were so small and so restricted to the things that we thought children would like, as if they would only like animals or nature, as if they don't have enough curiosity to go to other things. So this I think is the most is the most important thing that I can tell you. The subject for the future is whatever we want it to be.
Thank you. Let me make a comment that, in my opinion, imagination is starts when culture stops. When you need knowing more, and this is the imagination. Okay. And also one thing, in my opinion, the world is big, but I feel a lack of connection between, for children, between Eastern world and Western world. I don't want to see more any book in the future saying we or here, or because the world is like that. So in the meanwhile, here, there, a connected philosophy, way of life, landscape and culture, and all together. I think we are ready to mix Eastern and Western. Romana and Andri.
Yes, we also think that it's very important for nowadays, because we see that the world is divided, and we think that it's the main goal now to transmit some messages, some ideas to connect. Yes, connect, to unite. Yes, different traditions, different part of the world, because for example, we never understood what is west or what is east, for whom it is west, for whom it is east.
Yes.
Yes, we are from Ukraine. It's like east for someone, but for part of the world we are the west, so it's very confusing. And also for us it's very important now to, for example, to make some book about communication, about solidarity, because about loneliness, because now these pandemic times made us think about loneliness and isolation, and we see that the world is changing, and for now we think that it's very important to make some books, to create some ideas about connections. Also, we never thought that it is important to make some books about politics, but now we see these changes in political landscapes in so many countries, and we think that it's a great, maybe it's time for us also to make some book about politics, that for making these children think that they can have some influence. Yes,
they have power to...
they have power in future. So because for our country it's very, very important to raise leaders who will love people. So for us it's very, very important, and we want to make such books.
But on the other hand, I think that those main topics, main non-fiction themes like nature, space, etc., also sometimes need to be remaked. I think, yes, it's in a new way, because for example, in next generation would not want to read a book that made, for example, 20-30 years ago, because there are new discoveries, there are new facts, there are new approaches, And I think that every topic could be developed by modern artist and modern author and illustrator in a new way, because it's all about point of view, it's all about approach, and visual culture, etc. So, for example, it could be a very interesting book about, for example, space made now, and it wouldn't be worse like a book made in the past. It just would be some different, with different approach, with different even different facts which are new and new discovered.
Yeah, I think that to be prepared to have new approach means that you need a lot of culture and information. You can stay out of the information. So probably, in my opinion, you need to stay with scientists to discuss, to know, because you don't have anything to say. And I think that, as Andre told us, to be connected with institution, with cultural institution, is a good way, because as a museum, they must do research. But when they decide to do a new exhibition, for example, on an artist from the past, they need to do research and to discover what we don't know yet. And so this is a way to work with other people, researching something, to tell to someone. And so having a children's books coming from there is, in my opinion, is a very good point. And it's true that a bookshop in a museum, for example, yesterday I visited the Uffizi in Florence. Let me say that how a city like Florence in COVID times, totally empty, no one, a huge street of a bar, restaurant at night, were all prepared, the table were all prepared with light, candlelight, trembling, no one. It's a strange atmosphere. It's like to be in a movie of a dystopic time, something that, because the real things that surprised me is that even there is no one, the people are prepared to have someone. So they have prepared the outdoor table, matching a candle, but no one is there. And let me say, inside the Uffizi, obviously has been very pleasure to have no crowded people around and to see a picture that you don't see from age. In my opinion, yesterday has been a very exciting morning for myself, but only for myself. But the bookshop was really full of stupid things. Dante Alighieri little toy for kids, but really nothing to tell through books, through new books. The only part of the bookstore where the children's book were, the selection was not so bad, and so again we can say that now children's books are more interesting than the adult ones. Yeah, because they want to renovate something, the way we talk about space or nature, but also to find new topic. And I'm expecting really a lot of work, because do you remember when the CD-ROM came out? I remember, because I was a bookseller. We had to have a new space for these boxes, huge boxes for nothing. And was and the publisher stopped to produce a non-fiction book because they thought that a CD-ROM was nothing. A CD-ROM. We now have forgotten that a CD-ROM, we have used for a little time a CD-ROM, but they have invested a lot of money to do CD-ROMs and all that. And so nothing came from the non-fiction. But now I think it's time to see everyone everywhere in the world trying to say something that makes sense in knowledge, in communication, in value, because we have values for our lives. That is not a didactic way or moralistic way. No, absolutely. But I think we must conserve some values or reaffirm, saying again that we would like to have values. So I'm expecting a lot from this kind of artists, as you author, artist, and publisher. And it's, in my opinion, is a new territory to make books, and even to have new readers, as you told me before. New readers, that means children with curiosity, and they could find books for their curiosity, because they are curious, so they need to find new books. And I would like to ask again to Ilaria if she remembers 3 or 4 titles that they have surprised her, and she would love to read to some children. Your best.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember, for example, the work of Cruciform, which I think there is this book about speed, and I think that you can, as you said, it goes beyond the ages. You can be a little children and only enjoy the pictures and start to question yourself about what is speed, and it is made in a way that you can read it more times and when you in different ages, and you can enjoy different things according to your curiosities and your yes, and your age. It is layered in a way. I love the book. It is about It's a Moment in Time by Tom Egbrook, for example, and is a book about the time zones. And so it's composed in a way that you have to turn it 2 or 3 times, and it is about the simultaneity of things. And so you can again question yourself about what is time, and about geography, and how the art movement works, and so on. Or as we said, there are many other disciplines and themes that are touched now as non-fiction, in non-fiction. And so there are also books that are simply about questions, or about existence, about what is our place in the world, as Alma Animal. It is a Spanish book from a little Spanish publishing house, but they are only the first ones that comes to my mind. We have, of course, also Mar from the publishing house from André, and also some of yes, of the works of Romana and André, and I particularly enjoyed also The Egg from Rita Teckentrup. That is a a book about the all possible meanings of the egg, and so from the cosmogonic view, and the egg in philosophy or in myth, and starting from a symbol, from an object even that is typical for everybody. You can question and the curiosity and of children, and see what you can say about it, and about the world, and about our existence and our but yes, as I said, these are all also only the first ones that comes to my mind, but there are really many others, and as you also can see behind.
Thank you. I think that also,
Yes.
also to tell to children who the scientist, non riesco a farvi vedere bene questo, ecco qua.
Bestiole.
This is the entomologist Fabre. Yeah. And in my opinion, for children, because I remember I've been an elementary teacher, and so I remember for 10 years I taught to children at elementary school, and when I presented them the famous entomologist Fabre, Henri Fabre, the French, they were, because he was a teacher, he was poor, but he was so interested in nature, observing insects, and able to tell a lot of things about that. And they were, wow, wonderful. And now I've seen that again, some publisher think about not a collection on scientists, but sometimes if a scientist, if a life is interesting, please add even the human experience in doing some research that is very interesting for children. And another point is, at a certain point, we didn't have any map. And when Polish start as a very simple things visually as a map, because a map is a map for all the children. Every time, no, we have new children, and the map is always a map. And for a long time, we thought that the map was old, a little bit old, or something from the past. But usually, when you go back to the past, you find something new, because if you don't know, you can new. It is very, very simple to explain to the children that we are on the shoulder of giants from the past. And just because we are dwarf, if we stay on the shoulder, we look longer to the horizon, because we are really, and this is the way to, in my opinion, to tell to children something new, even looking back to the past and came alive with something new that's come from the past. And I want to show you the books of a man that I've admired so much in my life as a bookseller. You recognize this?
Yep.
Yeah. He has been a visionary man. A visionary man. A really visionary man. I remember this collection, the advertising of this collection on the underground in Tokyo. All the titles in Tokyo with this. Unfortunately, he died when he was 60. So 60 in the full, in the full. But he did a wonderful work, because he had a vision. a totally vision. It was in a way, in a French way of the old encyclopedia, to have a huge thinking, a large thinking, starting from little kids and material and new contents, new topics, new books, active books. Anyway, I think it's not time to have this kind of publishing able to make a new vision of everything, starting from little kids to. But now the most important things is to have some good books coming from different place, where artist, publisher, author, illustrator, and then we will have high quality books immediately translated, because now it's easy to have a book in time, because when we met to the fair we see blah blah blah, and then we can decide. So I'm expecting from you good books, new books, and with the possibility to price them and to sell them all over the world. In the meanwhile, we will wait for the exhibition in Bologna. We all hope to see all together in Bologna and to continue to discuss of this topic and to show this book to the large audience of publishing coming from all over the world, but also to readers, to families, to schools, because in my opinion, the next politically point will be these books for everyone. I don't know how it is in Portugal or in Ukraine. I would like to know something. For example, André, your Mar or your War is in the public library in each school of Portugal or not?
Well, it's difficult to tell you, but I have the feeling that it's not, because otherwise we would be selling much more. But I know, well, this has a good thing behind this information, which is that there is a lot of good production in books here in Portugal right now. So not having the C book in the public libraries can also mean that they have other good books. But of course, there's also this other way of seeing it, which is that not even teachers sometimes have enough formation to choose good books that are different for the kids, because we have been seeing a degradation in education in the last decades, and this is starting to notice in teachers also, that sometimes are not prepared to choose different books. And it's very funny that there is a lot of information that's very interesting here, crossing different subjects. You were talking about maps, you were talking about politics, you were talking about different visions. And one of the bad things in education is that it's very strict sometimes. It's like teachers have to follow just one view of the world, because they were already taught like that. And so sometimes we feel that we have to show that there are other visions. And this is why we choose to publish these books that sometimes, as I told you, don't reach bookstores or even schools or public libraries. But this is an example of that. For example, we have this collection. You were talking about maps, and we decided to do this collection of maps that no one knows about, because this is a collection about maps. Where we invite illustrators. This is from Manuel Marsol from about Madrid. We invite illustrators to talk about their city. We invite them to choose 12 sites. So they choose 12 places that they like about their city, and then they show the map of the city where everyone can see where the places are. But this is again a very difficult thing to solve, because this is a much more personal project, because we don't want to know the city, only the city. We want to know the city through an artist's eyes, through the artist's eyes. So we want to know where he goes to have breakfast, when he, which park does he want to visit, where are his memories related to his friends, his family, etc. And we have done this for several cities in the world, Portuguese and other places, international. And when we go with this project to a bookstore, they put this in the touristic section. And so everyone that goes to a tourism section wants to have a map where they know exactly where they are. And this is the opposite. This is something that we want people to use in their rooms, in their living rooms, and they can get lost in these maps because they are not very scientifical, they are not rigorous. And so everyone that goes to the tourism section in the bookstore will be disappointed, because this is not something that they can use walking on the street and finding where they are. And so this is something that it's like a gap that still exists a lot between imagination and creativity and the real world. And the real world has to function with a lot of rules that are commercial, marketing, and then there's the creativity and the imagination world, where sometimes the other part of the world still takes a long time to adapt. And so, well, but this is not a complaint. It's how it is. We still have to keep doing things so we can change it, sometimes slower than we wanted. But this is a long answer to tell you that this is also probably why a lot of our books are not in public libraries, in schools, and they are difficult to be discovered in bookstores. But because we are, and this is again, this also has to do with politics. It's not; these are not political subjects, but they are political in a wider way, to tell young children, to show young children that their interests, however small they are, they matter, and they all have, they should have space in the world. Of course, this is the ideal way to think about this, and we all are always every day facing the reality, and this is why being a publisher, a small publisher is difficult, because we have to get the money to do this, and sometimes it's not enough.
Thank you. What is in Ukraine?
In Ukraine, yes, some of our books are in public libraries, and every year we have this commission who picks the books for the library. And also we are the country, I think, on the edge. We are fighting against our old school education, and we are fighting for some new experience, for some transformations and education reformations and progress. So now it's very interesting to, for example, to look into our bookstores, because there is a lot of classic, some conservative books, and also very new, very
modern,
very modern books. So it's very funny times. Also because of war. I don't know, but there is a lot of energy in our artists, in our illustrators. So we have now a new wave of books, a new wave of illustrators, and some of these books are in public libraries, some not. But we are in this process of development.
You know, a lot of process in our country is like under construction at this moment.
Yes.
Because last,
Good.
yes,
I think that all the world is under construction.
Yes.
Because it's stopped. I mean, the old world is, in my opinion, is finished.
Yes.
So
yes,
we are all under construction.
absolutely.
And I was thinking about one point. We know, everyone knows now that there will be a lot of money to spend.
Yes.
The recovery fund, there is a huge amount of money. And one project for Europe is next generation, so children. Why don't we ask together, we make proposal to have money, for example, to send these kind of books to the school? Could be a good point. Who can say no? No one, in my opinion. So could be a very quick way to have something that is justice in a way, social justice, cultural justice, as you want, and the way to support creativity, author, illustrators, publisher, critics, and fairs, and everything. I think that we are not used to think that we may ask.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's our fault because we don't ask anything. I think it could be easy because you can. Andre could make something on the website, and we sign, and I add, you add, another add, and the public opinion. I think we need a new public opinion, and not expecting from a newspaper, but from ourselves. Yeah, able to build up our public opinion. So I will do this. I will do something, and I will ask you to submit and to add an article, something. We could have the non-fiction for the future books. We will see. Okay, and close to Ukraine, because you say that there is a lot of energy. I can say the same in Italy. We don't have any energy talking about children publishing. Very, not so much, not so much. And I see that Portugal could be as well a country to work with, because I see they have good books, people engage, and so it's easy to get in touch and to make proposal for the future. We can send letter to the world just to say we need support, and we need to show these books to children. Where? In schools.
I can tell you now that for the first time we are starting to prepare an independent publishing houses association. So we started talking about this a few weeks ago. It's a small group in the beginning. I'm doing it with Carla Oliveira from Orfeu Negro. I already contacted Planeta Tangerina, and we are starting to do this because we feel things that, like you were saying, we need to react, and we need to, because if we are separated, we are weaker than if we are together. And so we need this group to start to make this publishing world more just, as you were saying also. So maybe this association that I hope will be born before the end of the year can contribute as a group to this cause and to the project that you are suggesting that will be created now. So I can tell you for myself, and I will propose this as founder of the association. I can tell you that you can count on us.
Excellent. We will get in touch immediately. Write to me, and I will find some Italian, some French, some Spanish.
Maybe in December we can already be the association already exists, and then we can start working.
Excellent. Excellent. Wow, very happy. let me say I'm very happy to have you here and to see you in person through a screen, but in person. And I hope that we will meet again soon for the fair, for this new independent group of publishers, for my revolutionary program to have money from everywhere to the books. And thank you so much to for every words, every books, everything so well done. And I'm really great. I'm very happy, and so thanks, Ilaria, to prepare a very important exhibition, and we will continue to discuss during the exhibition. I think you are preparing even a catalog, an English catalog, so we will have critics text to read and to think again and to stay again together. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao. Ciao.
Don't go. Please stay a minute. I jump in because if you have 5 minutes more, we should record the introduction of Elena, because after there was some issues with the connection. So I think she's there because I see her connected. Elena? No? Wait. Just a few minutes.
Isabella?
Sì?
E quando è possibile vedere questo a Francoforte? When is possible to see on Frankfurt platform?
Next week, I will send you the link to the event and the information about the exact time, because we still have to decide when exactly, on which day.
Okay.
But I will send you an email with all information.
Thank you. So even for poetry and comic books?
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm calling Elena because I see her connected to the panel.
Mic and camera is off.
Elena, ma per caso sei connessa al panel? Ti vedo connessa fra gli speakers.
Sì, è connessa, ma non ha attivato fotocamera e microfono. Magari, non lo so, vuoi contattarla diversamente?
Oh, wow. Super, this is great.
I'm looking for old books. I'm spending a lot of money.
Absolutely.
I know the feeling.
Look how beautiful.
Beautiful, yes.
Beautiful.
This is old? This is old book?
No, this is Celestino Piatti, The Golden Apple, The Bodley Head, from the 17th, I think. Yes, 1970.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Very beautiful. It was so nice to speak, to talk with you. We are very happy to be part
No,
of it.
I'm very sorry because my English is rudimental. I would like to speak and to know as the words I know in Italian, but my
Maybe-
vocabulary is very good. I
so,
hate to speak. Yeah, I hate
Sorry.
to speak. I must speak English, but actually, I don't. I feel how rudimental is, and I would like to speak. Wow. Anyway, in another life, I will do this.
Speak more.
Ciao.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
bye bye,
Thank you,
bye bye,
everybody.
bye bye.
Ciao,
Ciao,
ciao.
ciao, ciao.